So generally speaking, you never really want to put full trust in the viewport playback. That's because, it can be very, very choppy. You can see it's kind of bouncing up and down. So what we want to do is Workbench render this out, and we can play it back from disk instead of from our 3D scene itself. So we're going to be rendering the animation out. So we'll go up to our render properties up here, and we have, this is essentially Workbench, which is just, the default shaded mode. This is going to be rendered mode. This is going to be Workbench mode. So a solid mode essentially. So I'll set our render engine over to Workbench. We have a bunch of different material parameters in here. I'm just going to leave all of this default. And then what I'm going to do is go to output, and then just make sure that you have your file saved before we do this. So for me, I have it saved out box version 6. And then under output down here, what I'm going to do is use // and then I'm going to do render. So whenever you do this // right here, this is referencing where you have the Blender file saved on your hard drive. So it's going to put the render directly next to it. So now what I'm going to do is just do another /, do box, and then another /, and we'll just do version 1, and then we'll do box version 1. And then I'll just put a dot after it like that. And then what we'll do here, we're going to get into image sequences in a bit, but for now I'm just going to switch this over to an MPEG video, which is just going to be a nice compressed video. We can do encoding, set this to something like high quality. And that's really that. We want to make sure we have our camera set up before we flipbook this out. Flipbook's another word for just Workbench rendering. And then let's just frame this up so we get it framed nice and good. Something like that. Pretty good. And then we want to make sure we have our camera set up. So we'll go into our scene properties, and we want to make sure our camera is set right here. So if you only have one camera in the scene, you shouldn't have to worry about this, but just know that if you have multiple cameras in your scene, you have to select your camera right here. And then that should be all good from there. And all we have to do is simply do render animation. By default, it's going to be really, really big. I'm going to go ahead and escape out of this to cancel the render. I'm going to go ahead and go to image properties, and then we're going to set our resolution something down to like 960 by 540. This is going to be a nice small previewable render. We don't need to do anything really high res right now. So I'll just simply do render animation from there. And then after it's done, all we have to do is render and then view animation. And then it's going to bring it up in the flipbook, and then there we go. So now we're actually looking at this from a real-time perspective. There's not going to be any viewport lag or anything like that, and we can make kind of our final judges right here. Some hotkeys for Blender's video preview tool. If you just do spacebar, it's going to be to pause, and then you can simply click and drag to go back and forth between your frames. So the Workbench render is really, really flat in terms of shading. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at rendering in the next chapter to get a better preview of our animation.